What's up? Settling in here. I'm wearing socks because it's unseasonably cold, and I don't know if I've decided on wearing them for the full stream or not yet. There may be a interlude. I'm not sure. Um, so let me make sure that everything is set up correctly. You won't see behind the scenes footage at all. Hopefully. Okay. Uh, all right. So, uh, we're gonna be doing portfolio review today. It's pretty exciting. I always love doing these. Um, what's up, Eric? Super zoomed in. Yeah, I know. It's giant face on your phone or wherever you're watching. We can zoom me out. If this is getting weird for you, I just wanted to illustrate. Okay, like I started cleaning some stuff up, right? And I was like, man, I got comps everywhere. And then I was like, I got a pile of comps over here. I got a pile of comps over there. I got a pile of comps. And then like Shannon, my lovely partner, was like, "Oh my god, everything is a mess all the time. Please stop." And I was like, "Okay, we got to get serious." So I I ordered 10 short boxes and I filled seven. Wait, yeah, seven and a half of them. Uh, you're watching this while you should be at work. Well, hey, you don't have to necessarily. This is Matt. This is the guy we're gonna review his portfolio. You don't necessarily have to watch from work if you don't want to. It's I'm gonna put this in the Discord, and so you'll have access to it, and it'll stay up there on YouTube forever. One of the things that I started doing, and if you're not part of the Discord, you should join in. If you're looking for VODs, like video on demand stuff on Twitch, apparently they inundate you with ads. However, I'm holding on to the YouTube stuff. I'm trying to bank a lot of content before I start slowly like doling out on YouTube, just in case I miss a day or a week or whatever. It can stay consistent. So the vids aren't going live on YouTube, but in a sneaky turn of events, I am posting them occasionally on the Discord. So if you want to watch something early, you want a link for it, I post it in the Discord so you can watch it there. It's all good. You're working from home. Oh, yeah. Absolutely get away with it then. Yeah. I thought you were like, for some reason, I pictured you in a like a toll booth of some kind. I don't know why my mind went there. And you're just like, there's a line of cars and you're just like headphones on. uh, yeah, unless your employer's stealth installed software to surveil on you. Yeah. Don't give DC any ideas. Anyway, I have a lot of comps, and I got to start going back to comps because this has gotten out of control. This is more. I have 6 short boxes of a private collection of comic books that I own, of my comic books, and now I have more short boxes of comps. It's a mess. It's a mess. At any rate, here we are in the gamer zone. So yeah, so I could zoom out a little bit. You won't be so close to me. Let's keep our distance. In 2 days, I'm going to be playing Four Swords Adventure on this stream with 3 other players. I usually just play with Boix on Thursdays, but we are also going to be playing with Churls and Ilion. It's going to be super fun. Everyone is a Zelda fan except for Boix, who I think it might be a new Zelda fan, maybe. But like the 3 of us and the Boix, the 3 of us have been like wanting to play this game basically forever, and never thought we'd be able to. So this is gonna be a real treat, and we're gonna play through it. So if it's like, it's gonna be weekly for that, for as long as it takes, and then we'll probably be back to Boix and I playing games. Just wanted to make a note about the format shift before we get into this portfolio review. Now, real quick. Portfolio reviews, always be respectful. Matt put put it all out there for us to like check out not only to check out his portfolio, but to have it, you know, scrutinized publicly, which is like a really big deal, and he deserves a round of applause for that. He is a saint for doing this. So yeah, we're going to approach it with as much respect as possible, and we're not here to bash anyone or anything like that. So I encourage the chat to not do that, or comment sections or whatever. The other thing is, if you would like your portfolio reviewed, you can just drop it in the Discord. In fact, I think we have one more in the Discord. Here, let me see. Portfolios for review. Here's my Discord. Here I am. Twitch.tv/NickPhil. Portfolios for review. It's this section right here in Arton. Chatting and Arton. If you want to drop it in here, you don't even have to hang out in the Discord if you don't want to. We talk about comics and video games and cool stuff. I don't know why you wouldn't want to, but if you just want to like drop it in there and walk away, that's fine too. I can talk about your portfolio and give you the best course to like start getting comic work. Although I think Matt James has gotten some comic work already. This is his site. His site address is also in the lower corner, way down over there in the corner. This is his site. He's got a lot of stuff up here. The first piece of advice that I would give him is make a separate comic book inking site and a separate comic book coloring site, because the more complicated you make things, the more people can misinterpret or not understand. Like, I was talking to somebody just recently about how if they're gonna table at an event, they want to be like laser focused, because he was talking about like, well, I have some old comic books and I got some new stuff and I work on this podcast, and so the table's gonna be like a mishmash. I was like, no, podcast only. Put the podcast down. Make a business card, have some t-shirts, like huck the podcast, you know? Yeah, you did a little stuff for Games Workshop and Fantasy Flight Games. Yeah. We'll get into that. So yeah, I really like, by the way, I was clicking around this site earlier, as I want to do. Here's Matt. Here he is. He is in Australia. So he's got a little about section. He's got a resume PDF. He's got skills, software proficiency. But then he's got this, which I think is totally rad. He's got like a list of stuff that he has gotten into print. And the reason that I think this is like very, very smart, and then he's got social media stuff on the bottom. Let's click all this stuff. See if we can go to places. Yes. Perfect. All the links work. Everything works. It looks good and professional. Yeah. You don't have any weird pictures of like food or a vacation you took. It's all just art. Yeah, look at this. Getting saucy with some colors. I like it. Love it. Perfect. But I really love this. And the reason I love this is because you're showing that you have worked for you got stuff in print, you know, but that this puts the best foot forward, because like sometimes when you start as a comic creator, as a comic colorist, you will get you start with like smaller gigs that have a little more amateur art than maybe like DC or Marvel does. So the art is already kind of a little bit, it might be on the weaker side. This isn't to disparage anyone. It's just like we're all starting, and you know, whatever, it is what it is. So it's tough to put that stuff up and be like, here's my professional website, because if the line art is weak, then the portfolio is weak. You're starting from a weaker position, and you want to be able to like get gigs. And this is a great way to be like, because publishers do this too, where that like if the interior line art is a little weaker, they'll hire like better known, better like more influential artists to put on the cover. Like they do it all the time. Even DC does this with like runs where even they might not even need to do it, they still do it. You get it like somebody cool and flashy on the cover, right? So it's like by doing it this way, by showing your work, your production like this way, you're like, hey, I've been in print. Here are all the covers, and your work may look a little better than it necessarily does when you're starting at that starting level. So yeah, I really wanted to highlight this because I thought it was a really great idea for putting together your website. Now, I don't know that you need the published work section while you have this. And this goes to what I was saying before about how I feel like you got to like hone the spear. You got a blunt sword right here because you have recent art, you have comic coloring, you have comic inking, you got illustration and painting, you got published work, you got about me, and you got contact me. And I would cut this all down to the comic coloring portfolio, about me, I would fold in contact me, and then I would just be like published work, and then I would put all this stuff into the published work. And I would like either make a separate site for inking, separate site for illustration, and that way you kind of like you apply for a colorist job, you're like, here's the site, here's my colorist gig, here's my publications. Like it's boom boom boom, very very easy, very very fast. When you click published work, this is stuff that got published, I assume, in the stuff that was over in the other area, like the stuff that's in here. So you have like some the Marvel game, which I guess this went to, but you can see how it's like now we're starting to get into like the realm of I need to start like drawing connections. When you start like making people do that kind of stuff, you kind of like, I don't know, you lose the thread. What I would say, you don't want to put everything in the same place. Yeah. I wouldn't, Diatra. I would. Here's the thing. Okay. So I'm gonna tell you a quick story. So I made a website, and it was very focused on coloring, and it didn't have any extra stuff, and it was more successful than when I was doing just like little stuff. And then I hit a point in my career, this was like maybe 6 or 7 years in, where I had a lot of published work under my belt, but I wanted a higher paycheck than what I was getting, So I was like doing indie stuff, and I was doing okay. And I was starting to make a livable wage, but I wanted that higher end stuff. So what I did is I made instead of making just a comic coloring portfolio, I like sharpened the spear, sharpened the sword further. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make a DC specific portfolio, and I'm going to make a Marvel specific portfolio, and I'm going to go for these jobs. I'm going to specialize. And it took a lot of time because it's double the work. It's 10 pages of DC, 10 pages of Marvel. But like when you hand a Spider-Man editor a packet that's all Marvel characters, that's all stuff they're familiar with. So you're like kind of going out of your way to be like, hey, this is what my stuff would look like on your stuff. This is what you put out. Here is your stuff. So you want to like keep that in mind when you like put together a portfolio, because you want it to be like aspirational to the job that you want, not the job that you have, kind of thing. So I would just keep that in mind. And that's why I think probably doing like the published work, or not the published work, the about me section where you're like, this is what I've done, and then when you like click comic coloring, you can like then put your best foot forward. And then if a company wants to see like if they want to see like some samples from published stuff, they'll ask for it. But chances are, like, here's the thing. You learn more from this than your 2 years of comics grad program, and this is free. Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's the dirty little secret with all of this is that when you are coming up in the industry, there's an intense feeling of like, this is published so it's exceptional, you know? And there's a want to show off that gem. But really, the only thing that matters is that the work looks good. That's that's it. That is it. So like, published or not, as long as you're putting your best foot forward, that is the only thing that matters. Underscore underscore underscore. So you want it like these Spawn pages, freaking rip. Like I like these pages. I think they might be the best in the whole portfolio. And you put them front and center when I click comic coloring. A plus. Like that's what you want. Even though you didn't I don't think that you have Spawn stuff published. The Spawn stuff is strong, so it's like, yeah, put that front and center. Um, yeah, so that's my 2 cents on the website. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say up top that I completely blanked on is that um, once we get into the nitty gritty of these pages, whenever you hear somebody be like, "Oh, I like this, I don't like this. Maybe you should try this. Maybe you should try this." Um, Whenever you do any kind of portfolio critique, you want to put your portfolio in front of as many faces as possible. And the rule of thumb is if 3 people say, "Hey, that arm is wonky on that figure," guess what? That arm is wonky. If one person says out of like 5 or whatever that like the arm is wonky, maybe you can get away with it. Like maybe that person's just being a stickler, or maybe it's their personal preference, you know? So we want to keep that in mind as we start getting into these pages, into like more detail stuff. But yeah, if I were you, as far as the website goes, the website is very well put together. um, I would merge the about me and contact me, take the published work from the about me section, put it into published work, because like the published work section just feels like an expanded comic coloring section, especially because you have this page twice. um I'd cut the comic inking, cut the illustration and painting, sharpen the sword, man. Even cut the recent art. If people want recent stuff, like they're gonna go check out your Instagram, you know? If they want to see what you're up to right now, like they're gonna check your Instagram. Um yeah. So with that in mind, you've got plenty of sequentials, which I love. Um Let me catch up on chat just a little bit. Uh you never saw someone doing separate websites, but you already saw people splitting sessions for the big two in their portfolio websites. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would, I would do separate websites. That's me personally, because once you have a domain, like you could even break down. So like, you don't necessarily have to have like you have like snakebitartstudio.com here. You wouldn't have to have snakebitartstudio.com and then you have to have another whole domain of like, you know, mattjames.com. Like you don't have to do that, but you can do like snakebitartstudio and then just and slash DC and then just all DC samples. And that's it. And then do like Snakebit Art Studio slash Marvel, all Marvel samples. And then if people want to see more, or like if people are like, I love these Marvel samples, do you have anything else? Like you can direct them to other pages. You don't have to interlink everything. And a very easy way to like have the comic book inking become separate is to just delete the link out up here on all these pages and then but keep the site, keep this page. And then if people want to see your inking portfolio, it's here for them, you know? I don't have a lot of experience with comic book inking, so I can't really speak to if the inking samples are good. We'll show them off real quick, though. They look incredibly complicated. Yeah, inking is a dying art form in the industry, unfortunately. Um, they look good, but like I said, professionally, I don't have a ton of um, yeah, a ton of input for comic book inking. So let's get into the comic book coloring. And I'm not going to really touch because you have like you have enough samples here. We don't have to get into this stuff, although you do have some pages in here that you don't necessarily have in the other stuff. But a lot of this is pinups and things, and you guys kind of know uh, my opinions about pinups and stuff. Like, you can put a couple in a portfolio, but you really shouldn't make them an entire portfolio. Anybody that does a gig, like, or is going to hire you for a gig, wants to see sample art. So yeah, we're going to get into this. I actually took all these pages, put them into Photoshop so we can talk about them a little more in depth. Here is, I think this is page 1 of the Spawn stuff. So, ooh, Photoshop, chugging. I don't know why are you like this, Photoshop? Why are you like this? Like I said before, your Spawn stuff is this by and large the strongest stuff. We'll take a look at all the pages real quick. You got this like moody blue and orange, blue and yellow, blue and purple kind of thing. No pinups, only sequentials. Yeah. Here's another page. Why didn't I fold this page into this pile? I don't know why. Largely, there's not a lot happening between these pages. It's really kind of the same shots over and over. Not the same shots, but it's the same. Like the characters aren't really reacting to anything. They're just kind of like walking around this alley. So it's not super engaging. However, if you want to put your best foot forward, samples like these can be pretty good because it's not the most challenging stuff to color. And once you get one panel right, if you're able to like replicate it, not only will all the samples look good if you get that one panel right and just continue it, but you also show that you can continue like consistency of character across pages. They're not going to suddenly start like shifting into yellow or shifting into blue or whatever. So that's cool. And then it ends with a pinup, and we can forgive the pinup here because it's part of like a big reveal, which is like something that's interesting. We have these Viking pages that are pretty cool. Maybe the weakest stuff on your portfolio. I think you included them because it's published. Part of it is that the art is just not as strong as this. It's just not. That's not your fault. And then we have like this like spaceman thing. I'm not really sure. He tilts down his visor at some point. I think a computer's clicking on. We're gonna get into this. The helmet pops off, but it's still on, but it's off. I don't really understand what's happening on these pages. We'll get into it. And then these pages these have to be from some sort of online school, either like run by Chris Sotomayor or K. Michael Russell, because I think we've tackled these pages before on a portfolio review. Not your portfolio review. The pages look different. These pages are incredibly challenging for like a lot of different reasons. And then we have one lone darkness page, which is pretty cool. The darkness is cool. And then we have an Avengers page, which we can get into. This is borderline pinup territory. This is like this is like you're trying to escape on a technicality, but we all know it's kind of a pinup because really it's this one shot, and then they were flatted on DeviantArt years ago. A lot of people grabbed them. Huh, man, I we should do those on stream then, so that we can illustrate. I can illustrate exactly what's going on with those pages, why they're so challenging. Um, I wonder. I don't even know who the artist is on these. I don't know. We'll get into these at some point. But that's really interesting. That's interesting. I didn't know they were flatted on DeviantArt. Yeah, this is kind of a pinup, but technically not. But like, this is like if it was a crime to put a pinup in a portfolio, this is like rolling through a stop sign. Like technically a crime, but like we're gonna let it slide. So you got a couple of pinups in here, but we're gonna let them slide. Is what I'm saying. Is what I'm saying. Put the cuffs away. We're not taking them in. Okay, so your spawn pages look great. Before I even get into these, I will say that these are very professional. I'd hire you based on these pages. Like, they're if I was putting together an indie comic and I was looking for somebody to work on something, like, this is professional enough that, like, yeah, you could probably do the job. Comic crimes, yeah. So let's get into some nitty gritty as to like what's going on with him. So you got this like hard shadow here, and then you are not necessarily carrying it over into this like, ooh, man, my Photoshop is chugging. I hope that it survives the stream. You can kind of like darken this stuff up too. Like you don't need to keep that light. Like you can get it, you can go like real dark. You know, the more you like embrace that edge, that shadow, the more you're gonna like really amplify it and amplify that light source. Yeah, great colors on this. Misdemeanor only. Yeah. You think it's Jim Chung? Oh, the pages, the Avengers pages? Yeah. The Avengers page is Jim Chung. Okay. So the one thing is, like, we're going to get into these. It's going to be a lot of nitpicking, but, like, I do feel like you're going to benefit from this. So I'm going to be nitpicky. I'm sorry. However, I think that you're going to benefit from this. This trash is distracting because it is the lightest points against the darkest points. Because of that, like my eye goes here when it should go to like kind of the characters. This is really great. Like kind of putting him in a little darker. You could even amp it up a little more. Oh God. Oh man. My Photoshop is chugging. I should have restarted my computer before this stream. I don't know why it's doing that. Like we could even like go a little further. Maybe not around the eyes, keep the eyes the same, but like really push it. That could be cool. Your smoke is like highly rendered. I can tell that you put a lot of time in there, but because you've rendered it so much, it's starting to feel like a solid object. When you render stuff like smoke, really less is more, and you want to be conscious of like what the smoke is obscuring. So like you have this beautiful like aqua background. I'm going to try to illustrate my point here once my very sloppy selection is done. So you have this beautiful aqua background. Oh my God. We're gonna suffer through this selection again. I'm sorry. Can you see the wand chugging? Like, what is happening? Computer, please. And we're just gonna, oh, we gotta deselect this figure. If we just take like, go like that, like through the smoke, suddenly it's like, because we're getting a little of that color beneath the smoke. Oh my god. Oh my god. Whew. Whew. It's gonna be a spicy stream. We get a little of that color behind the smoke. It's starting to look a little more transparent. And you want to be aware of that stuff. I think that you did more smoke. Like here we can get some of this orange into the smoke. Make it look a little more transparent. You have an opportunity here, right here, where we have this edge. Where you can put some of the smoke in shadow and some of the smoke in like the light. That kind of stuff. Really kind of like play with it a little bit. It's like a higher stakes version of what we did here with the shadow. So I want you to think about that. But I think ultimately the thing that you should be thinking about the most, and this is especially prevalent on this page, which you kind of started to solve with this smoke that you added in, which looks great. I think it's a great instinct, is that some of this stuff is kind of samey as far as the value. So I'm going to show you real quick. If you go to proof setup and then you do custom and then you select this working gray dot gain. Where is it in here? I'm on it right now, but I think it's also in here. Anyway, the point is working gray dot gain 20%. You can get a preview of what so here it is. Here's like what your page looks like. Here it is with the preview of the grays. So you can kind of like see where, like, okay, so you got like this foot, right? And you got this guy behind, and they're both kind of the same, and they're both kind of fighting with the background too. Like, when you see stuff like that, it's a pretty easy fix. Oh my god. If the wand cooperates, it's an easy fix. I feel like my my Photoshop is like, it's listening to me, but then like every 8 seconds it gets distracted. Oh, we gotta deselect the other foot real quick. Yep, we got distracted there. So we take this like very, very light color and just like push it back. So we still got this guy back here. But like, you know, between this and this, we have like a better separation of space. We have a better silhouette of the character. And when you look at it in black and white, you can see it. It's like, this is a lot different than this. And surprised face, yeah, for Photoshop being glitchy, yeah. Like, this is definitely where I think your level up is, where like you're putting together like, and then once you want to, by the way, when you check at this like proof stuff, so we have the proof, it's view, proof setup, custom, and then we have the working gray. If you want to turn off the proof, it's just Control Y, turn off the proof colors. There, we're back in the regular palette. So you can just be like Control Y, or I don't know what it is on, maybe Command Y, and just like kind of bounce back and forth like on the fly. Be like, you know, is this working? Is this not working? Let me just check it. I think that if you control your values a little bit more and lean into them, you can start to get some like really, really commanding like level up stuff happening within your work. Stuff like this panel, you're doing, oh my God, Photoshop. I don't know what it's doing. You got like kind of a light source over here, which is like a cool idea. We're gonna take like an orange. And just kind of like brighten it up just a little bit. And it's like, it's working just subtly enough, but like decently, you know? I don't know. It's like all these like little changes to just get like a little bit more space between foreground, middle ground, and background. Let's look at this page. So yeah, it's the same kind of thing. You're trying to push this back in darkness. By the way, at night, objects that are closer are brighter than the objects further away. Swapped for daytime. Objects that are closer are darker. So you have the right impulse with this, but it's fighting with the smoke, which is fighting with the wall over here. Like, it's just not quite different enough. You can, like, and you have like kind of a weird like light source here, because we want to like highlight these characters, and obviously we're like super fast and furious with this. You've got this smoke happening. Let's take the highest point of the smoke. Not even set it to screen. Just regular grad. 100%. Boom. It's like suddenly this character especially, he's no longer competing with this. The black in him is no longer competing with the black in this space. Like, and you can push it as hard as you want, as much as you want. We're getting, this guy's popping a little too much, but you know, really like, and it still feels like a smoky room or a smoky back alley. But you know, we're given a little latitude, a little bit of leeway to like do this kind of stuff because it is that smoky room. The rest of this looks good. This is the same thing. Foreground, middle ground, background. So you have like, this guy's kind of all the same value as these guys and the ground and the building and this building far off in the distance. It's kind of all feels the same. Even if you took like, oh God, we're going to use the pen now. I don't know if Photoshop's going to be able to handle this. If my Photoshop crashes, I apologize in advance. We're going to do like a quick and dirty selection of the blacks here. Okay. Select inverse, and we'll hide it. Like, you got this guy, he's on the run, he's got kind of Joker pants going on. If you just take and make him like brighter, this is like way too bright, but let's give him a more blue pant. Like, he's going to start to pop forward a little bit more. And you could even, like, he's lit from above. You've got all these street lights and stuff, like this stuff in the background. You can start to, like, be like, okay, I'm going to add this, like, edge to him. So that way he, like, really pops out. Maybe even the whole bottom of the sole here. And that way he's like really coming forward. And and you can really read his figure, because this is the most important thing on this panel. Like, they are watching him run through this alley. That's going to propel them to chase further down this alley, right? So we need to see this as its own separate object in the foreground. And then you could take, so we have this going on, and then we can push these guys in the background, further in the background. By doing what we did before in the other alleyway scene, where we just like threw a grad in, like, and by doing that grad, we're like pushing the blacks more into like the colored ranges. It's a little more, we're graying out the blacks a little bit, and then we're also lightening up everything else. So we can take like, we're just going to take this gray, this like high gray, and we're just going to do 50%, throw the grad in there. Boom. And like the artist is kind of putting that in there. Like he's doing this scratchy stuff on the bottom because he wants these guys kind of in the fog. You know, like when you see an artist do stuff like this kind of scratchy stuff on the bottom, like they want that guy in the fog. They want him in that fog. And so you can drop those figures back. And then this panel reads just like a little bit better. And like I said, this is all foreground, middle ground, background stuff that like you're going to see more, especially when you control Y. Like you have an opportunity here where it's like, okay, you've got smoke behind these guys and sky. Like these figures should really pop forward, because they should, at the very minimum, they should be like very different than their kind of surroundings. You want to unify the palette, but you don't want everything to be the same tone. And some of that's happening. Where it's not happening is like the water. Like you got very high highs, very low lows. It looks really good. But then it's like you get in here and it's like this cheek is just as high as this cheek, and like this like alternate light source, this rim lighting. Like when you have like a rim lit figure like this in an alleyway, what you want to do is have like a dark side of their face, a core shadow that's black, and then like the rim light should be high, like almost close to white, and that'll make it read a little bit more moody. And instead you're kind of doing the same thing on the left side of the face as the right side of the face. But yeah, these are all like little nitpicky stuff. Like you could go in and fix this stuff in like a day. Like really, once you open these files and get into it, and this starts like clicking in your brain, like you can improve these pages like tomorrow very, very easily. And it's the same thing with what's going on here. I especially what's going on here is that like, so like the Spawn logo is very bright, and the chains are very bright, and the blood is very bright. And you can tell that when you look at this page, you're like, whoa, that's green. You know, like you can see it. You can see it. And the reason you see it is because it's like it's occupying that high. But like the problem that you're having is that the walls, the pipe, the jacket, his jacket, Spawn's cape, these walls, it's all kind of turning into the same tone. You could, we're going to close these previous Spawn pages because I don't know why Photoshop's being so... Man, I started working on a book that is incredibly resource heavy, and I feel like it is just annihilated Photoshop. After a day of work now on my setup, Photoshop goes and gets a beer. It's like, hard day at the mine. even just like lightening this stuff up just a little bit like this makes directs your eye a little bit more. Um, this is before, this is after. Like you can kind of see what's going on, and you had an impulse here with like trying to get the foreground and background to be different when you started putting in this smoke. I just feel like you got to lean a little harder, you know? Like I think you just need just like be more sure of yourself. Like you have the right instinct with that. Like throw that smoke through the thing. Like, lean into it. And the thing with Photoshop is like, shit, man, you could try anything. I just did a cover today, where it was just like a face, a straight up shot of the face, and I rendered the face. I tried a thing and I was like, this looks like butt. I was like, this just does not work. And I just went right back to square one, tried something else. Like you can try putting all that smoke in, and then like if it's not working for you, or like you don't know why it's not working or whatever, like you can always cut it. And this is the thing too, is like you're about to pass this stuff off to an editor and an artist, and like if you think you could, like I've handed stuff in where I've been like, look, I was trying this thing on this page, what do y'all think? I can easily pull it if you want me to. Like that kind of stuff, that communication, they want you to see you experimenting and engaged. And when you defer to like fresh eyes, like not only are you going to be better for it, but like the artist might have some suggestions or thoughts and be like, it's like, I've gotten a lot of notes that are like, this is great, maybe take it down to 80%, stuff like that. Also, you've got the Red and Spawn's cape, and then you've got these bricks. And I know you've established that the bricks are this gray color through the piece, but oh my God, Photoshop, what was that? Y'all going nuts on me, Photoshop. But you can kind of start to like inject like a little bit of red in here, just a little bit, just to get it a little different than the concrete spots. Don't be afraid of just playing with the color a little bit. We're a little bit, because it's Spawn, it's a little bit gray on gray, which I get, but yeah, you can kind of get a little nuts in there. But yeah, the Spawn stuff is by far your strongest. Feel like little tweaks here and there, and it'll like sing, dude. It'll sing. Let's talk the Viking pages. Like I said, these are probably your weakest. And let me just right up front. Water is hard. Like trying to do surface level water stuff. Whenever you see somebody do it right, like put it away and like take a second, really look at it, and then try to put it in your memory banks, because like it is just, there's no like good way. I mean, there are good solutions, but like, man, I just feel like I'm 15, 20 years into the career, and I'm still like, every time water rolls around, I'm like, I guess I'm just going to paint it. I don't know. Like, and then it's just, my painting process for water is just like taking this square peg and just jamming that round hole, just like forcing it until it works. I know this doesn't help you that much, but yeah, I feel like these pages suffer because you're trying to do too much with like, this is too much. This looks like those, what are those, like point and click adventure games like Myst? It's like kind of what it looks like. There's like, you're so far removed from the cartooning that's happening here with like in the weeds with this water, that they don't go together anymore. Like when you make a page, when you color somebody, you want to complement their line art. and you want to kind of like lean into the cartooning that they're doing and cartoon in a similar manner. Like if this was photorealist like stuff, then I would be like, yeah, I can see like you're shooting for photorealism, but they're like the artist here is like doing a lot of cartooning as well. um like the boat and stuff, like we're not Travis Charest here, you know what I mean? uh we're not, and that's not a dig on the artist. I'm just saying, like, you know, what they're doing you have to echo. And what's happening here is the water doesn't do that. Like this would be stronger with just a like light blue. You could take a light blue or a dark blue and just put it over the water, and even like shoot, like even we're gonna take a blue out of this, like 80%, just to get the texture to just chill the hell out. Um, Another thing is when you have like a horizon line like this, you can knock out all of this horizon line, and it'll make the water seem more watery. You know, um, you're trying to do this sunset stuff. It's not necessarily working that well because you're also fighting with this fog that's happening. So you have this. This is a tough page as far as the elements are concerned because you're trying to do sunset, you're trying to do fog. Um, you can take here. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna Google sunset. Here, it's probably safe to Google sunset, right? We got safe search on. Hide explicit results. There we go. Okay. All the dirty sunsets are now hidden from you, chat. um, you can do like pick a sunset, hit tools. Let's do color. We want like a purpley one because you're doing like a purpley thing here. Let's take this one right here. Copy image. Okay, we only got a piece of it, but whatever, that's fine. Let's get a piece of it. We only have a piece. And you can take this sunset. Photoshop just struggling. And we can do a pixelate mosaic, big chunky cell sizes, you know, and boom, you've got a palette. You've got a palette ready to go for this like background sunset that you want to do. And when you look at it like this with like big chunky pixels, you're like, oh, it's like orangey red at the bottom, and then it's like bluer at the top, and then you can kind of like just pick a bunch of colors from this and kind of like get in there, and come out with like a kind of a better solution than what's happening here. Also, the other thing that I wanted to point out is like you get into sunsets, right? And when you have a sunset, the background's going to be very bright and saturated, and the foreground is going to be darker and not as saturated. And you can kind of like start to play with that. So I know that we have, you know, like the boat and is in the fog and stuff, so you have to like deal with the fog. But like I feel like generally everything in here, see if we can start to deselect all of the fog maybe. This is so quick and dirty. We're going to see if this selection even means anything. I'm just going to take a blue. This is a very dark blue. We're going to take a brighter blue and just like multiply it down a little bit. Just a little bit. And we'll select, let's select just the background stuff. and we're gonna just up it just a little bit. So you can see just this is so quick and dirty. I don't even know if it's helpful, but let's try to be less dirty. But what you're doing is building a little more atmosphere into it. We can take this purple, or better yet, let's take a red from our palette over here and just like drop it in kind of thing. I know we're kind of being weird with it, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like the everything else, all the figures, all the boats and everything, and you're not even really competing with a lot of the stuff that's like, you know, when we're in the spawn pages, you were like, we're in an alley and I don't know what's going to happen because there's buildings, there's people running around, there's cats, there's I don't know what the artist is going to draw next. But when we're out on the open ocean, basically you're locked into sky, dudes on the boat, and water, and that's it. So Shannon is fighting the kitchen. So like you can kind of start to make more artistic, like moody choices. And yeah, I feel like you can get there. You got there on the spawn pages. It's just it's not quite the same here. And I think you're getting tripped up by like, how do I do this water? How do I do this fog? And you're getting wrapped up in that, and you're forgetting to do like the solid color scheming. Again, same thing. Doing too much with this water. You're losing the giant figure of the creature. Yeah. Ooh, man. I don't know if these are some of the choices that I would make as far as the art goes. But this noticing this creature is critical to this panel. Like I would have really I don't even know if I can select it here. It's going to be too weird of a selection. I would have really made a shadow like this is the problem is that you're running into is that like the shadow on the water is difficult to do because you're like I don't know how we're handling this water. But this is the most important thing on the page storytelling wise, so it's like you really got to like really make him big. And then you could add like a highlight on the side of the boat like from this like, you know, desaturated pink. Like Photoshop, please. So that we understand that the boat is there kind of thing. And that makes this panel look a little more readable because you're like, oh, creature. And then it's like something grabbed him. But without it, if you miss this creature, this panel is unreadable. So it's like because it's in silhouette and because the guy is also part of the boat in the silhouette. Like, come on, artists, come on. I shouldn't have to. Let's get one, and then let's get the other leg up here like this. Come on, man. And then another tentacle here or something. I don't know. And then we need like a grayish. We need the suction cups out of the thing like this. Come on, artists. I fixed it. Way more readable. Way more readable. Although I don't know if it has suction cups. We just added suction cups to whatever this is. Um, at any rate, yeah. I think I've said everything I need to say about these because we started getting into the actual line art, which maybe we shouldn't have done. Maybe it was a little mean. The artist is trying their hardest. But yeah, I feel like you just need to. I feel like if you looked at a couple of pictures of sunsets beforehand, you would have ended up in a place that's a little stronger. The texture you're using, the water is starting to look okay here, but it's also starting to look like a flat texture, which is what it is. So you want to kind of avoid that. Man, it's also like, let's just look up some water. Like, this is what you're going for. Now, being able to like parse this into a readable thing is very difficult because you have like it's like trying to make a turn a forest into a workable painting, you know. It's like you have to start to figure out the hierarchy of like what is worth drawing and what is not worth drawing or painting in, as it were. And that kind of stuff is hard to do. My advice to you with water like this, or water, painting any water at all, is that here's kind of what I do. If I already lost my pen. My pen is gone. Here it is. So like I look for, and if I don't find it, if like the artist hasn't drawn it in, I'll just draw it in. Like I'll just draw the choppy water. So like this water has like these like peaks and valleys. There's like this going on, right? Like you all see this. I'm not going crazy. So, and they're bigger up front than they are in the back. You know, like they get smaller back here. You know, we're stacking the, and then it kind of like, you know, turns into whatever back here. But these little like peaks up and down, they're kind of like mini mountains. And like if you have and we're not, this photo is not really going to show this very well, but like this is what I'm talking about with cartooning. What I like to do is when I try to figure this stuff out is like, so these peaks and valleys kind of go up, but then they also kind of have this like side here. Like there's one right here, there's one right here, this one turns in like that, there's one right here. So they're almost kind of pyramid shaped, and you can kind of get away with being like, okay, light side here, and then, you know, oh my god, Photoshop, please, dark side here, and then like light side here, or dark side there, light side here, dark side here, light side here. And when you start to like do this, it's like, okay, it's starting to look like water. And then what I like to do is then like take a gradient and just like kind of push it through, not set to multiply, just like that. And then kind of create a little depth that way. But obviously, you know, not like this. Like not this sloppy, but you understand what I'm saying? So you can kind of start to like cartoon some chops in the water. And then otherwise just leave it like one color. Put that color down, put some chops in, and you will be surprised at like how quickly it works for you, how well you adjust to like putting in some water. It'll work for you. Try it. Try it. and you can start to get away from this. Or you could even put this texture down and then paint on top of it, just like 70% opacity, and just get like a little bit of that texture coming through, a little bit of that, most of that painting coming through, and it'll like, the texture will add a little variation, and it'll all start to like come together for you. But really, really, the only thing I've learned in my career is that anytime you come across water at all, like, there's no easy solution, and there is no way to skimp around it. There's no way to pull textures and make it look good. It's like, it's always difficult. It's always a lot. There's a brush that I have that I made from a sunset. Let me see if I can find it. That works like 20% of the time. Is it under special effects? No. I'm going to find it for you because I think it illustrates something that that might help. We're going to find it eventually. This is just dead air. Just absolute boring. Is it under textures? Yeah, maybe. Do I not see it because I'm currently selected as a pencil instead of a brush? Like 90% of these I do not use, which is like, you know, why it's taking me so long to find this thing. Shoot. I don't know if we're going to be able to find it. Dang. I don't know if we can find it. Is it in my like regular tool set? No. Let's look in special effects again one more time before I give up. Is it one of these? You can tell I use it a lot. These are like these wispy things that I use never. Some smoke. Good God. This stream is unwatchable now. I'm just like casually checking out. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Well, I can't even find it, so I don't even know how helpful it is. But it's basically, I took a sunset and made it into a brush, and the brush basically looks like. Here, let's take this blue. Oh God, what have we selected? I really can't find this thing? I don't know. Whatever. It's basically like just these lines, this kind of stuff. But like if the picture doesn't line up exactly how it should, if the artist doesn't draw it at exactly the right kind of like texture point or whatever, then or the perspective point, then it like doesn't work. It basically doesn't work. So like a lot of time, like when I do use it, I have to like really jam it in, like I gotta like skew it and like, you know, tilt it and make it work. But like even this kind of stuff is a little more like, I just gestured this stuff in and it's like a little stronger than just the texture that's down. Yeah, my advice to you and to anyone out there, do not try to cut corners on water. Either just embrace the fact that you're just going to put a blue slab down and throw a gradient through it, or like do stuff like this because it'll work a little better. It'll look a little better. I think we're not going to belabor these Viking pages anymore, but I think the Viking pages are maybe the worst in the portfolio. That said, they're not, you know, terrible. They're just like the rest of the portfolio is stronger. We're in the astronaut pages. Okay. First things first. We got kind of like a light source here. I think this is the flare off the kind of capsule here, but it's kind of reading like a sun behind the capsule. If you put like a little splatter, a little kind of like a little textury roughness, the stream's just going to be me looking for a brush I can't find. This is all this stream is now. God damn. Okay. If you make it like a little rougher, oh my god. Photoshop. Photoshop, please. You add kind of that like fiery flare to it. I don't know if that worked as a demonstration. However, you add kind of like a fiery flare to it. It'll read more as the fire booster jets of the thing rather than a sun behind it. Because when I first saw this, I was like, there's a sun behind this and it's not hitting the earth. Like, I was like, I don't understand why. So we have, here's your quick planetary guide from me. We have the earth, right? And then you got the sun over here. You just take the selection tool. Go like that. Boom, you got your shadow side. Easy peasy. Done deal. I really like coloring planets in the distance because you can kind of get into this stuff, like kind of it gets a little abstract, which is kind of fun to play with. You need a little more detail going on this. And you know, it's the Earth, so I know that like this stuff is work and stuff, and I'm being nitpicky with you. But I'm nitpicky because I feel like you need this extra step. You can start putting some clouds and stuff in. Maybe not like this because this is bad, but you know what I mean. You can start to make the Earth look like the Earth, or, and I do this sometimes, photo bash it. Just like take actual photos of the Earth and kind of like paste them in there and kind of manipulate them, get them to where you want it, get them so it's yours, not necessarily the photo, but like kind of use it as a starting point to like put some chunky ref in there. I see you made the moon brown. Nitpicky's good stuff you've been looking for. You've been looking around for stuff to replace the Viking and astronaut pages. You have a few maybes, but you haven't found like those are the pages kind of deal. Have you checked out the Ultimate Portfolio? I put together 10 pages of the Ultimate Portfolio in order for people to like have stuff to work with. If you want to check that stuff out, let me show you exactly where you can find it. Right here on my Twitter, pinned tweet, Ultimate Portfolio. In this thread, here it is. And it's the Dropbox right here. Here's me talking about the Ultimate Portfolio and why I included the pages I did. And here's a page that I did out of the Ultimate Portfolio. So if you want to like check that out, all those pages are pulled from, you know, I didn't call any favors in to get those pages. They're just pulled from whatever. So yeah, they're free to use. Yeah, and this green is cool, but it like I kind of don't understand it because like when you do stuff like this, storytelling wise, you do like a green lens for this capsule or whatever, like, and I would put like a little bit of a grad in there, and then we get to this dude in the capsule. Like, dude in the capsule should also be like have a dominant green color scheme. Like, I'll go download and check it out now. Yeah. Yeah. Googling Ultimate Portfolio just gives you results on investments in Bitcoin. Oh no. We got to call it something else. Maybe we should revisit putting together an ultimate portfolio. But like, you see what I mean? Like, if it's green here, if we as the viewer are looking at it and we're like, oh, what's in that green dot? And then it's like a gray tone, you're not helping the viewer with the storytelling. So you want to keep that in mind because you have an excellent opportunity to help them with the storytelling here. Um, Rendering on the face looks really good. You did a good job here. Uh, I would add, like, so you're being very subtle in here. And my personal preference is a little less subtlety with stuff like this. Just like, I don't know. Like we can do a lot of like found line kind of stuff where we kind of put the highlight in and then carve it out kind of thing. Stuff like that. I put a little shine on there by accident. When we were doing the Spider-Man 2099 pages that we just got done with, when I was rendering the helmets of the guys that they were on, that's kind of how I like to do plastics and metals and stuff like that. Kind of make it look like a Bruce Timm kind of like rendering. I'm gonna look up Bruce Timm and see what pops. See if we can find a piece of art that is what I'm talking about. Maybe I should have just looked for Batman the Animated Series. All these Bruce Timm drawings are of naked ladies. Bruce Timm is our favorite pervert. Let me see if I can find. I'm just gonna Google DCAU. This is getting ridiculous. Okay. Oh my god, this is like the smallest JPEG I've ever seen. I goofed it, chat. I goofed it. I'm sorry. This one is also incredibly tiny. What is wrong with me? Okay. All right. This one won't be tiny. Excellent. Okay. So like you have like kind of this shine that is like kind of goes through like this, the shoulder, man. This is what I'm talking about. Like you have kind of like this swoop in kind of thing, this, and then an opposite swoop here. And like it just works so well for like any kind of like shiny stuff. This right here, this little secret, this is like comic book fucking secrets here. This was like the first 4 years of my career. Like basically I did this and people were like, it looks good. And I was like, I'm gonna work it to the ground. I do it a lot in my run on Justice League Infinite. We do not want to see this. We do not want to see this. But it's because it's also very, very quick and easy because like you can take something like this, right? And you did these mostly in high highlights, right? We're going to try to deselect the black here. And we're going to take this like gray, right? We're at like 50%. And our brush is circular. Like our brush is a circle. So we're just going to like swoop it in, swoop it in, swoop it in, like, and then like might, you know, put a little shine on it. Maybe even put a little shine or put a little more shadow. Oh my god, Photoshop, please work with me. Like this kind of thing. Like I love that kind of stuff. It makes stuff feel like plasticky and metally and stuff like that. And it contrasts really well with the rendering that you're putting on the faces. makes things feel like they're different kinds of texture. Uh, yeah, I know you're saying you were looking to replace these, but we're just going to get into them real quick. Uh, Again, you have some storytelling problems because you have like he's wearing the helmet, he's wearing the helmet, he's wearing the helmet, but something's changed. I don't know what it is. He's wearing the helmet again, but clearly something's changed. He's got like there's like a light here. I feel like the artist was trying to get you to put this into a light source with this, you know? Is this doing it? Are you doing it, Photoshop? You're not doing it. We're on the wrong layer. That was my fault that time, Photoshop. Photoshop's trying to get you, or the artist is trying to get you to do something like this. Photoshop's not doing anything. Yeah, so you want to lean into like the shadows and stuff that they're putting down. And then on this last page, he like tosses the helmet, but then he has the helmet again, and then he's helmetless. And like you have this purple here, and you have this purple here, and just the storytelling gets kind of muddy. Like if this is something going wrong, right? Like we want it to be red. Like capital R red. Like you can do something like even just doing this feels like the storytelling beat works a little better. And obviously, you know, polish it up. And then here, it's like these things are too similar. Oh, wait. We were on the wrong layer. But now they're very different, and you can kind of feel like it's like, you know, you look at this and you're like, okay, things are good, things are normal. What's happening to this guy? Oh God, is he okay? And then it's like, oh, things are good. He's all right. He's tossing his helmet. But what was that thing? And then it's like, oh, he's good. Oh wait, is he not good? Is there something sinister aboard? You start to like get into that space where it's like you're amping up what the writing is going to be doing, and writers will see it and artists will see it and they will thank you for it. Yeah, so you want to keep that stuff in mind, like keep the storytelling stuff in mind. These pages have a lot of opportunity for storytelling. I think they're some of your weaker pages only because you haven't leaned into that stuff. I think if you leaned into it, like these pages would look great. These pages are pretty weak for the same reasons that the Spawn stuff is a little weak. If we look at it in grayscale, like, so these guys are behind. This is okay. This is why these pages are freaking hard, man. Like, these pages are incredibly difficult to tackle. Let me tell you why. Okay. So you have the building back here, right? Psylocke is fighting Ultron. I think this is like a version of Ultron. Psylocke fighting Ultron outside the building. Building's here. And the only reason I know this is because it took me a while to understand what was happening before. So then you have Iceman and Stargirl. Dazzler? Is that... I don't know. Anyway, it might be Dazzler. It might be Dazzler. And they're inside the building, right? So Iceman, because Iceman exits the building. So you have basically an outdoor scene and an indoor scene, and they need to work together, and they need to be identifiable and work together at the same time. So not only that, but then you have like these guys are foreground, these guys are background, and then you need to make sure that like it's readable as there's glass there, because he goes through the glass. On top of this, you have this whole left. Okay, you read the panel left to right, top down, left to right. That's how American comics are read. So you start this panel on this side right here, but you're not looking at I'm pointing at the screen like an idiot. Like you can see that. So you start on this side, but you're not really looking at like the Iceman blast here. What you're really looking at on this page is like you're trying to make sense of the building here that goes here, like this whole space. This whole space is like a goddamn nightmare. This kind of stuff, this right here, this keeps me awake at night. I am fearful of this kind of stuff because you have the same building on top of the building, and it is thin black lines for the building and thin black lines for the gutter. So like when they get to this panel, you don't go, oh, I'm here, then I'm here. You're not here and then here. What you're doing is you're here and then you're like, wait, where does this panel start? Is it here? No, because this is like a panel within the panel. Like is this the panel? Oh no, that's not even the panel. Are we here? No. Okay. I guess we're here. Like it takes a second to figure out. It's so daunting. Because of that, this page is incredibly, incredibly challenging. Like, especially for somebody who is starting out, who doesn't have a lot of experience. Like, if you're getting bogged down in like, how do I put two environments together? And then on top of that, you have to deal with, okay, now both of the outdoor environments are going to layer on top of each other in an overlapping like panels without gutters. Like we're talking deep sweats. We're talking sweats in that. Like, whew, man, whew. That said, I don't think you executed it very well. It's incredibly. This is like maybe the toughest thing in your entire portfolio to execute. So I'm not like coming down on you. I just think it's fucking hard. Like, but like you really got to be thinking about the clarity of this and how it's reading. A way to just fix it is to just be like, hey, we're just gonna go right over the lines and just fix it. Where this is the quick and easy fix of like, oh, we don't want that. The other thing that I'd say is that the ice that you've done your due diligence with, like knocking out the ice, meaning colorizing the line art, like that all looks really great, but you're falling into the problem again of like it's all too similar, and it's all similar to like stuff in the background and the smoke, and like you're running into the problem where your values are all kind of the same. Even like, so like she's dazzling him as she is Dazzler, I assume. And then even like the little light trails and stuff, you're in this like gray space. Like you're here and you should be like here, you know? I don't know if you can. Here, we're gonna try something. We're gonna get Wet and Wild for just 1 second. We're gonna try to select the Iceman stuff, and we have selected everything. We're gonna try to select Iceman if Photoshop cooperates. This page, man, like, the artist drew an incredibly dynamic page. I can understand if these were floating around DeviantArt, like why people end up doing them. These pages, I wouldn't, like, if somebody is starting coloring, I would, even seasoned, like me and my like third or fourth year, I'd still struggle with this. Like even after getting like published work out there and stuff, like these pages are just they're just hard. They're just hard. Um, so I'm just gonna try to brighten up Iceman. There we go. Iceman reads a lot more like ice now. Uh, he's a little day glow, but like he by like bringing him up, bringing the value of everything on him up, like it reads more as ice. Just that quick and easy edit. And we go into the thing and now he's different than his background. He's different than everybody else. Like he is not the solid fleshy parts of Psylocke or even the metal of Ultron. He's made of ice now. He's separate. Say it's just mutant ice. So yeah. Man, these pages, they're tough. We'll tackle them on stream. I'm gonna see if I can find them. So then we have Ultron blasting away, and we have another character who comes in. This panel's a little like, and then we have again foreground middle ground stuff going on that in this panel and in this panel that really needs to be amped up. That stuff is hard. You can get nuts with panels like this. Like I wholeheartedly encourage you. Like you could make this background just orange. He's being electrocuted. You don't have to. It should be jarring. We're gonna see if Photoshop will let us. No, Photoshop. Like we can go full orange on that panel. Your rendering is a little soft for my taste, but I'd say you're like 80% there, as far as like soft rendering goes. Yeah, you're like 80% there, almost there with like the shoulder and thighs and face. I kind of liked the rendering on here a little bit better. Like this facial rendering, you're doing cut and grad stuff here, but like I just feel like it works a little better. It looks a little more professional than the stuff here. But that could be a total bias. I really don't like super soft stuff. I like to see hand of an artist in there. How much more do we have? How long have we been talking? Hour and a half? All right. The darkness pages look good, except for the fact that the artist is, again, doing these thin black line gutters. So you end up with like dude here, and we're entering some weird space with like this negative space is very strange. And you have to, the only thing I would say is you gotta figure that stuff out. Again, like a simple grad, take this gray. Some of this too is like, with more experience with these pages, you'll start to like see this stuff happening a little more. And take like a blue on this side. And then I would pop this guy forward. I'd keep the shine and stuff off him. But like, you need something on this tall panel to like separate it. Oh my God, Photoshop, what are you doing? What was that? Okay. Wow. Okay. Anyway, Photoshop. Whew. We got a ghost in the machine. Yeah, so I feel like you're falling into with this page in particular, like you're like, oh, the guys are gray, so I'm gonna make them gray through the whole thing and work on the rendering. And when you do that, you end up with like this guy looks like he's in this dude's head. When you can like push this guy back by making him look more like the atmosphere around him. This guy's gray on top of this guy's gray. So it's like you have like this panel in particular, you have really strong, like each of these guys should be on a different visual layer as you go back, and you have them kind of like all the same. And if you can separate them a little bit more, it'll go a long way. Here, let's see if I can show you what I mean. All right, let's deselect. So like these guys, and this especially works because this guy's like up against this panel. We can like push them back a little bit. All I did was grab a color from your background and just like wash it with that color. So we can grab like this, fade it 50%, boom. And like you can kind of like tune this stuff to like your taste. And then this guy in the foreground, these guys should be like kind of the same tone because they are pretty close to each other, but you still want everything to be readable, right? Like that's what we're here for. So you can take this like blue, we set it to screen. We can take another like a different blue and just like a little bit, just a little bit. Not anything nuts, just a little bit. And now it looks like he's popping forward. So now you have like, and you could even like, you know, drop the opacity on this guy a little bit so that this guy's way in the back, this guy's kind of in the back, this guy's in the center, and this guy's right next to us. That kind of foreground, middle ground, background stuff, that's your next level, dude. That's your bread and butter. You start to do it here, like you're doing this emotional scene, and then these guys are all in blues, but then you undercut these blues with this like green and this gray and this light. If you put a blue wash into the trees, put a blue wash into the smoke, it'll read a little better. And then you have these highlighted spots. I don't have much to say about these pages. The rendering that you did is like real good. I think it might be the best. Like this stuff looks really good. This all looks really good. Like this his face looks really good. I would have liked maybe a little more color theory, but I realize this is superhero comics with a capital S, so you can kind of get away with more local color stuff. You'd like dusted this part out to bring I think this is Iron Man forward. Looks great. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about this because you pretty much nailed it. There's just a lot of like personal, like, oh, I would have done it a different way. Oh, I would have done this a little different way, but nothing's technically wrong. What do I mean by local colors? Local colors are like, if you imagine you get your pack of Crayola crayons, you know, and you're coloring the grass green, and you're coloring the sky blue, and you're coloring the apple red. Those are local colors. What I mean by like getting kind of weird and getting away from local colors, I mean like, okay, we've got our grass green, our apple red, our sky blue, but then like it's also we have we're looking at it through Cyclops's visor, so we're just gonna wash everything with red, you know, like 80% red. If you can imagine something like that, like that's when you start to get away from local color. So then suddenly your grass is no longer green, it's more of like a dark gray. rather than being green. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much all of your sequentials. You're doing a lot of like really good stuff. I think that let's look at your site again. Here it is. So yeah, spawn pages far and away bangers. I would look to replace. Okay, I might redo the astronaut pages, but keep them because, like I said, there's some storytelling stuff that if you can like redo them and like keep the storytelling stuff and like amp it up, that's the kind of stuff, that storytelling stuff that you're going to be doing on those astronaut pages is the kind of stuff that will get you hired. Like, no joke. That's the stuff that's like, when people see a color portfolio, they're like, "Oh, this guy knows how to tell a story. He's not gonna. If I throw him a curveball, if I throw him a flashback, if I throw him, like something weird, like he's not gonna screw it up." Because I can see it here. He's like taking these moments and he's highlighting them and he's like shuffling it into the story and it's all legible and readable. Like, I would redo, unless you're like, I hate these astronaut pages, I don't want to redo them. I would I would go back in and tweak them. Uh, I would probably cut the Viking pages. They're just not working very well, and the water's extremely challenging. Um, I would cut these pages because they're just stupid hard. And I would pull some stuff out of the Ultimate Portfolio. I would check some of that stuff out. We should put together another Ultimate Portfolio and apparently not call it the Ultimate Portfolio because I'm not trying to get you to invest in Bitcoin. I'm just trying to get you a comic book portfolio. Um, but yeah, even if you just had these three and then, okay, so if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, uh, I mean, you could get away with 10, and then add a couple from the Ultimate Portfolio that you like. I would do that. That's what I would do. Um, I would also, yeah, like I said, kind of refine the site. Sorry, I'm thinking about. Let me look. Let me look at. We're just gonna peek. We're not gonna go super in depth, but let's peek at the recent art because you did some other alien sample page recolors. Man, I kind of like these. They're nuts, but I like them. I would. You got foreground, background stuff going on here again. Um, Limited extent here as well. If you put a shadow down under these guys, it'll ground the characters in the scene. It'll look a little stronger. Artist was kind of doing that here on the bottom here, but not really. You feel like there's too much dark? I wouldn't worry about it too much. The bone pages in the Ultimate Portfolio are set during the day. Uh, I kind of like how wild these pages are. I don't know if they're necessarily your strongest work, but they're certainly wild and kind of fun. Um, and then you have a lot of pinups. Pinups are a great way to practice. Not a great a lot of colorist jam too. Not great ways to kind of showcase work though. Maybe try putting together some couple more pages. You only need like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You only really need, like, if you did 5 pages and then cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, uh, there'd be plenty in here to hire you. I would say cut those pages, add the five, think about value, and I showed you how to do that with Like I said, you go to view, you go to proof setup, custom, working gray dock gain, right? So this is, you see proof colors are checked. You uncheck them and it's back to regular. You're never losing what you have. Like even if you look at the thumbnail over here, you're still in color. Your channel's still in color. But it's a good way to just like flip back and forth and like look at some values and see if things are working right. Check your values. Think about your foreground, middle ground, background. In fact, I'm gonna derail this stream just a little bit. You're trying to cut a little bit loose on the alien pages. Yeah, I could tell you were having fun, man. I like those pages. They're not the most hireable, especially if like your goal is to work on like darkness stuff or Marvel or DC, but they're certainly fun. Like if I was making an indie book, an indie like horror thing, like you're hireable for that for sure. There was an old gutter zombie tutorial that like, all right, we're in the Wayback Machine. We're searching the Internet Archive. Let's see if I can find it. No. I searched for this before and I was able to find it and then it escaped me. This is a riveting stream in which you watch me search for things that I cannot find. Now I am going through a place where I know I dropped it to see if I can find it really quick. Man, motherfuckers be chatty. Scrolling way back in the history. I think I gotta scroll back to like a month ago. This might be a futile effort. There's an excellent on Gutter Zombie, I think it was Dave McCaig who put together a foreground, middle ground, background tutorial and like broke it down really well when I was struggling with this kind of stuff, and it really like clicked for me. I might have found it. It made me is this it? This is it. Oh my god, it's gigantic. Can we? Oh, that didn't do it. I'm gonna try to copy. You think you've seen it? Yeah, old Dave McKeag studio. Yeah. Here it is. I just wanted to talk about this real quick because I feel like this is a common thing, because it's easy to get wrapped up in like putting down colors, making everything bright and engaging, and then suddenly you end up like at the end with something that maybe doesn't necessarily work as well. So he takes this illustration, right? And he kind of like breaks it down into like, okay, we got this dude in the front and then like this girl in the back, and kind of like breaks it down. So he thinks about it like planes, you know? So you have like the foreground here in plane one, you got the next guy, you got the girl, and then you got the back of the building, you know? And he solves it in like a couple of different ways where like we have, you know, a light background with a dark figure, and we have a light figure with a dark background, and as you go back into the space it gets darker and darker with this, and as you go back into the space it gets lighter and lighter in this, and I think that this kind of stuff, thinking this way, you can also, he's also moving around the color palette. So he's like in this bluish space for this plane, and then he's in this like brownish golden space. So he's not only moving like in value, but he's moving around the color wheel to the other side. He's going warm cool. Like you cannot fail with warm cool. Um so absolutely, like when you're working on the next 5 pages for your folio to like cut some stuff, absolutely be thinking about uh the tones, like the values that you're putting down. Absolutely check your values. And then on the flip side, also think about foreground, middle ground, background. And it's really, it's tough to like, this stuff is like, this is the game, man. This is like this is printable work. You know, the Spawn stuff especially. I don't have the Spawn stuff in front of me, but like you're on your way, you're getting work. It's like at this point it's about like putting your best foot forward and figure out where your next level up is. And I think that's where it is. I think you need to start thinking less about, you're starting to get palettes and stuff under your belt. You're starting to get rendering and stuff under your belt. Like these Spawn pages look great. The next thing to think about is like, okay, how do I make this foreground, middle ground, background better? How do I make these values work a little better? Your eyes are always going to be drawn. I try to like always have your eyes drawn to the most important things in each panel. And the way I do that is by putting the lightest thing next to the darkest thing, and then kind of like the rest of the panel, you know, medium values together. So that way your eyes go to where I want them, and I can kind of control and manipulate the flow, the storytelling a little bit better. Man, but like I said, that stuff's the game, man. Welcome to it. This looks great, but it's a pinup. We colored this one on stream too. This was a colorist jam. It looks great. You're actually doing something kind of neat in this, where you're super moody with the color. Like you're not doing local color. The background, you're like taking a swing on like a little more artsy with the color. It looks fantastic. You're doing like this pop of yellow with Wolverine's suit that you're carrying through the rest of the thing. Looks great. I wish that I saw more of this in everything else, and a little more of the alien stuff too. Alien stuff is maybe not marketable, but like that kind of like guts. Like I can tell you're having fun. I can tell you're trying things. It's also I think you're out of the printable palette with it. It's just like it's too bright. Like the reds especially. Like this red is not printable. It would dull out in print. But yeah, I can like, I do want you to think about, you know, values and foreground, middle ground, background. But also I would love to see more of this, where you like kind of cut loose with color, where you're like having a good time. Other than that, like I said, you're on your way. If you would like to hire Matt, his address again is right down there in the corner, way down there. Snakebit Art Studio. Were you aware of the artist? I'm an old man, so there's when I started doing this, there was a comic coming out called The Red Sun, and it was by a guy named Snakebite. And when you joined the Discord the first time, and I saw your name for the first time, I was like, "Is Snakebite in my Discord?" I was like, "Shit!" But it wasn't. I assume you're not the same guy. That was a long time ago. That was like 2004 when that comic was coming out. 2003. It's only because I'm an old man that like I pulled those two things together. I don't think anybody else would like remember that stuff. Yeah, man. I don't know what else to say. You're doing a lot of cool stuff. I would say you're getting there. Yeah, you were not aware of that. I'm very old. I'm showing my age. The Red Sun was like a blink and you miss it phenomenon. The only reason I really even remember that dude's name was Snakebite, because I thought it was neat to be working in an industry with people named Snakebite. Oh, there's four other Matt James. You had to go to a studio name, huh? Yeah, you could always pick a pseudonym. Tank Iron Bones. That was always one I wanted to use on something. If there was ever something I didn't want to put my name on, I was going to use Tank Iron Bones. I don't know. K. Michael Russell goes by K. Michael because his name is K. Michael Russell, because his name is Kurt Russell. So we're all saddled with burden, I guess, in different ways. uh, anyway, yeah, I feel like your work is strong. Um, I feel like a little bit of practice. You're not doing this full time, I assume. You said you were at work. I pictured you in a toll booth, even though you're working from home. Uh, I feel like you could start to push into full time. It's just going to be about sharpening the blade, man. Like building the better portfolio and putting it in front of as many people as possible. Seriously. Um, K. Michael Russell syndrome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. The generic name thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a part-time thing so far. I mean, if you're into it, I feel like you could slowly. It's tough because it's like I know personally because I this is my day job that like when I'm done with this day job, it's hard for me to do additional comics on the side. It's hard for me to do a stream a week, just additional like same thing, same work. Um, I know that it's tough to do that, but I feel like if you dedicated consistent time, you could get there in a couple of years. You know, um, I feel like if you dedicated consistent time and put consistent time into coloring, uh, these things that I was describing would just kind of slowly click into place as you get more and more experience. Yeah. So thank you for bringing the portfolio in, man. Appreciate that. And you should hire Matt. He works part time, but he's not cheap. Listen, he's done work. It'll cost you. I don't know what it'll cost you, but it's gonna be something. Um, anyway, uh, thank you for watching. I had fun with the portfolio review. If you want a portfolio review, you can drop it in my Discord. Link is down below. Um, we're doing Four Swords, like I said. We're doing Four Swords Adventure in 2 days. I'm playing with Ilion, Boix, and Churls. I haven't played with Churls before. I'm kind of excited to play Four Swords with all of them. I'm trying to think. We're gonna do some art. Maybe I'm gonna track down. This is your first review? Wow, man. This was your first review. I I hope that it went smoothly as it could. Uh, I tried to be as positive as I could with everything because I think you deserve it for sure. Um, I would see if you can put your portfolio in front of a few other people and see what they say too, because like I said, a lot of the critiques are like about you can weed out personal preference if you start to like get a cross section of the community. Yeah, we're gonna see if we can find those Ultron pages because, whoo boy, they are a spicy meatball to tackle, and I don't even know if I would do them right. Like I don't know, I can try, but like yeah, I don't even know who the artist is. I'll do a little digging, see if I can find them. If I can, we'll tackle the one where Psylocke is stabbing. We'll try to tackle that page. This one right here. Um, and see where we land with it. Because this will be a good way for me to show you how I kind of handle some metal, how I kind of handle unwieldy pages, and working on outdoor, indoor stuff. Think you remember where you got it from? If I mean, you could drop it in the Discord. Uh, Prep time without prep time, yeah. uh, Completely different colors. Yeah, yeah. Uh, so yeah, we're gonna try to track that page down for next week. If I can't find it, which we'll see, and even if I do find it, if it's like a lower resolution or something, if it looks funky, we won't use it. We'll use something else. Um, but yeah, we'll be coloring something, or I'll ask Twitter if maybe we'll play some Fire Emblem. But you guys never vote for Fire Emblem, so we're gonna end up coloring something. Uh, anyway, thank you for hanging out. Thank you, Matt, for the portfolio, and we're gonna do another portfolio next month. So stick around for that. Thank you. Keep making comics, and I'll catch you on the next one.